Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, everyone.
Paris Rose is here.
Hello.
Jonathan Voico is still out a little bit under the weather. Hopefully, he'll be able to be back tomorrow. But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. In the first part of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. In the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, if you have a thought, theory, comment, opinion, observation, or question you have for the show, go ahead and use this tip link simply at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Send it on in, and as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we'll address it on the show. And by the way, here's a great thing about this tip link. You don't have to be watching the show live to use it. If you're watching this show anytime later in the day and you have a thought, theory, or question, this tip link is good 24 hours a day. Go ahead and send on in a question and we'll just get around to it on our next episode. All right, guys. Want to make one quick announcement. So this Friday, the bag of dog shit useless D23 event is happening that Disney is putting on. Garbage event. None of you should go. Total waste of your money.
Dog shit 23.
Dog shit D23
Finally figured out what the D
stands for dog shit 23. That's what it stands for. Anyway, and none of you should go to it. But
Wow.
But that doesn't mean they aren't going to make some announcements at this thing. And on Friday night at Dogshit 23, they're going to have a 2-hour panel called the Disney Entertainment Panel, in which they're going to be announcing stuff for Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel. So, much like Ray and I did for the Marvel Hall H Comic-Con panel, we are going to be in studio, streaming live, reacting, keeping our eye on the Twitter feed and all the official announcements coming out, reacting and giving commentary and talking about all the stuff that is coming out of Dogshit 23 that most of you should be enjoying from home and not giving Disney a single one of your dollars to go to that waste of time. Anyway, so hopefully you guys will come and join us for that. Should be a lot of fun, and we're going to do that on Friday night. All right. With that down, guys, let's actually get onto some movie news. There is a whole bunch for us to cover here today. So, Paris, what do we got up first?
Yeah, this isn't dog shit. So House of the Dragon Season 2 is now in the books, and we now know how many more to expect. From Variety, during a press conference on Monday discussing the Season 2 finale of House of the Dragon, showrunner and co-writer Ryan Condal revealed that the Game of Thrones prequel will include 2 more seasons and will conclude with Season 4. Condal also confirmed that the 3rd season is currently being written. They will be doing prep for it in the fall with a plan to go into production in early 2025. So, John, is ending after the 4th season the right move?
You know what? I would, for a show that I love as much as this, I would normally scream to the heavens, no, 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 not time to end this series. But I'll be honest with you. I'm actually a little bit surprised that they didn't announce Season 3 would be the end. Because it kind of feels like they're drifting into the final chapters of the story. Now I know people who have read the books will be quick to point out to me that there's still a lot of stuff to happen. Still a lot of things to transpire. And I get that. So to me, 4 sounds perfectly right. Remember, you also got to understand that they just put out the first footage of another Game of Thrones series. What is it called?
Is it
The Game of Thrones, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms?
7 Seas?
No, Seven Kingdoms.
Oh, 7.
I think it's called The Knight of the Seven Kingdoms that they have coming out. So they've got to wrap this one because Knight of the Seven Kingdoms takes place in between the events of House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. So it's after the Dance of Dragons and that war's all done, but before, we have the, what was it called? The Robert's Rebellion that kicks off the events of Game of Thrones. So all that kind of stuff. So yeah, now the one part that really bothers me though, and this will come as a surprise to nobody. The part that bothers me about this is they're not even going into production until 2025. Now, I know this is part of my old gripe and whine and bitch and complain about how it seems like modern streaming TV producers don't know how to make TV.
Yeah.
Because back in the day when I was a kid, they would have like 24 episode seasons and have a new season ready every single year, right? Now, granted, shows like House of the Dragon are far more complex. I get it. But they do half the shows and take triple the time. Like, here's the thing. They finished shooting House of the Dragon season 2 6 months ago. 6 months ago, they finished this thing. Why have they not been working on it since? Why are we now at the end of season 1 and we're in the writing stages and we hope to be shooting in like 7 months? I don't know. That part bothers me.
I think maybe the scheduling this time will work out because the first episode scheduled date for the Seven Seas show is June 15th, 2025. To have 2 Game of Thrones, like either close to each other, like 2 series ongoing against each other, I think would be a bad move, I guess, maybe. So maybe people will watch this new Game of Thrones series while House of the Dragon is filming, and maybe it'll work itself out where you know, the time in between this past season and season 3 won't seem that far apart.
But I mean, we can do, in 1 year, we can have 5 or 6 Marvel things, right? A couple of movies, a couple of Disney Plus shows, right? We're talking like 1 Game of Thrones show a year. Just give us 1 Game of Thrones show a year. And they're not even keep up with that. And so I don't know. We'll see though. Look, all I know is I loved the second season. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I had some gripes with it. Yeah, I did. But overall, I just thought this is one of the best things on television. It doesn't quite measure up to Shogun, but nothing does. But I absolutely loved it. It's great. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We are going to get a 4th season of House of the Dragon, that's for sure, but that's going to be it. Is that the right time to shut it down? Do you think they should stretch it on for 5 or 6 seasons? What do you think about the fact that they're not even going to start shooting this thing until 2025? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our next topic here, shall we? Paris, what do we got up next?
All right. Well, one of the biggest moments in Deadpool and Wolverine is when Henry Cavill appeared on screen as the Calverine. Audiences erupted and made a lot of people speculate about his possible future in the MCU. In a recent interview, director Shawn Levy broke down why Cavill did the part. So, John, what did you think of the reasons given?
You know what? And we'll go over, we'll list off the reasons he gave here in just a second. A lot of people speculated that he was going to be in that movie for a long time. And then it was a few weeks before the movie came out that I actually got confirmation that he was in it. And I was told who he was playing, all that kind of stuff. I told Jonathan and Ray who it was, but I didn't say it on the show, obviously. But you know me. I mean, you can't see the full thing. I got Henry Cavill standing in the office here, standing vigil, watching guard, protecting those souls who come in to talk to the movie fandom world. So I obviously love Henry Cavill a lot. And to see him pop up in there was really cool. But yeah, hearing Shawn Levy talk about why he did it was as equally interesting to me, which I thought was really interesting. So anyway, it said this. It said in a recent interview with Variety, Shawn Levy said that Cavill was happy to provide a quick cameo and said that the actor appeared for 2 simple reasons. 1, the appearance was just playful fun, and 2, it was amusing to skip from DC to Marvel. Now we get on to his actual quote where he said this. This is Shawn Levy talking. If we're going to talk about him, we must call him by his actual credited name, the Calverine, which Ryan coined. I knew it was undeniable as soon as Ryan came up with that term. He said yes right away. Because he knew it would be subversive and playful. It was also with a lot of affection for him and his body of work, and playing with his legacy as a DC hero now that he's appearing as a variant of a Marvel hero. The one line, there are 2 lines in Deadpool and Wolverine that, even though it's a Wolverine movie, I still kind of can't believe they did. The one line was when he's normally shirtless, but he's kind of let himself go since the divorce. I couldn't believe they made that joke. And of course, Hugh Jackman, his very, very long-term marriage recently ended, and then making a joke about him getting a divorce. I didn't think they'd do that. The other thing I did not think they would do was in bringing Henry Cavill on, have him make or take some kind of shot at DC or his time at DC. But when Ryan Reynolds realizes it's Wolverine, and it says, and just let me say, we will treat you so much better than those nut huggers up the street and stuff like that. I couldn't believe they made that joke, but it made me laugh my ass off. It made me completely laugh my ass off. So yeah, him saying that, number one, just because it seemed like it was a lot of fun. And number two, he thought it would be playful to make a joke about the fact that he was at DC and now he's here.
I found it interesting that that's the only different Wolverine that we got. Yeah. All the other ones were Hugh Jackman. I mean, imagine if they had like Radcliffe or even Danny DeVito. All the jokes we've heard about who's going to be the next Wolverine. It's just interesting that Henry Cavill was the only one that made a cameo out of all.
It also got me excited to imagine him being Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
He looked like a great Wolverine, a little too big. I mean, he was big, but Henry Cavill is a monster. But he did look good as Wolverine.
But that's the stunning part, right? Like we are in awe in this movie of how big Hugh Jackman is, right?
Yeah.
How big Hugh Jackman is. And then all of a sudden, they go to this back shot of whoever this Wolverine is, and the guy's double the size. Yeah. And then, of course, he turns his head, and it's Henry Cavill. Like, this dude's a monster. Now, obviously, this has started speculation that, well, to your point, Ray, the very fact that Daniel Radcliffe wasn't there, the very fact that Zac Efron wasn't another one of the variants, that they only did one, and that was Henry Cavill. So the speculation is that means he's going to be the new Wolverine. I don't believe that at all. I believe the only reason this joke worked is because every other variant was Hugh Jackman. If they had started going through all the various Wolverine variants, and each time one of the variants was a different actor every single time, then we're going to expect it, right? We expect it every time. But they had gone through the Age of Apocalypse X-Men. They went through Patch, and they went through the short one, and it was always Hugh Jackman. So they set our expectation that this next one's going to be Hugh Jackman too, and then have the one not Hugh Jackman. Yeah. That's what made it effective.
And that one was the only serious one through that montage. I felt like it was so cheesy, like all the other ones, and it was meant to look cheesy. I mean, it wasn't, but Henry Cavill was the one that was like, holy crap, I could really see this happening. You know what I mean?
Oh, hey, just because I said I don't think they're going to do this doesn't mean I wouldn't be down for it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be totally down for it. 100% I'd be down for it.
Against Hulk for sure. Oh. At least that Wolverine will
that Wolverine against the Hulk. And again, I think the joke with the short Wolverine, that kills any talk about them going back to an older comic accurate Wolverine of being 5'0" and stuff like that. It's going to be somebody like Cavill. I don't think it's going to be Cavill, but could be somebody like him. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Henry Cavill gives his explanation about why he would do it. I like his reasons. They're playful and fun. Were you as surprised by the joke as I was? Do you think, unlike me, that this could be some kind of signal that Henry Cavill could be coming to the MCU, maybe as the new Wolverine? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our next topic here, shall we? Paris, what do we got up next?
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like two of the hottest stars in Hollywood right now may be teaming up, as Deadline is reporting Jenna Ortega is in final talks to join J.J. Abrams' secret untitled movie at Warner Brothers. The Wednesday in Beetlejuice star will star opposite Glen Powell, who's also finalizing his deal. Few details are known about the movie other than it's not a time travel movie.
Oh.
Yep, Abrams wrote the script. Abrams wrote the script, and his Bad Robot is producing it. So, John, what do you think of all of this?
First of all, am I the only one who forgot that J.J. Abrams was around?
You're not.
Yeah,
You're
and
not.
I don't mean that as a slam. I like J.J. Abrams. I mean, Rise of Skywalker notwithstanding, everybody's got a bad day at the office. I hate that movie, but everybody's got a bad day at the office. Overall, I like J.J. Abrams, right? He takes a creative approach. He has a very unique sensibility with his storytelling. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I like him. I do. What's really interesting to me, what's not such a big shock is that two of the hottest stars in the world getting together to do a movie, right? Jenna Ortega is definitely a top 5 biggest, like not best in the business, but hottest names in the business right now. Glen Powell is clearly a top 5, hottest men in the business right now. And to have the two of them teaming up to do a film, not a big surprise. Teaming up with J.J. Abrams may be a bit of a surprise though. Like that's kind of, and listen, if this all works out, I'm actually really happy for them because I think J.J. Abrams, I think the movie community is richer when J.J. Abrams is making stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's not always going to be good. Sometimes we're going to get Rise of Skywalker stuff. But I mean, I think overall the movie community is just better when he's making stuff. Now, here's the question I have. With Glen Powell, who just did a Twisters movie where him and the love interest never even kiss. And I think that was a great creative decision.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was a great creative decision. If you're going to put Jenna Ortega and Glen Powell together, are they going to be, what was the one he did with Sydney Sweeney? Anyone But You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it going to be in Anybody But You Were There, the love interest to each other, stuff like that? I know this isn't anything new for Hollywood, but very soon Glen Powell is turning 36 years old.
Right.
Jenna Ortega just turned 21. Now, for all we know, in this little movie brouhaha they're doing, they're playing big brother and little sister. For all we know, they're playing father and daughter. Or for all we know, they may be playing bunkmates. Don't know. Is anybody going to look? Here's the question. I ask both of you this. Is if they do a movie with the two of these, knocking dirties, is anybody going to look at it weirdly? Like, will the audience look at it weirdly, or will they just see hot Hollywood actress, hot Hollywood actor? Yeah. Or because listen, big age differences between male leads and female leads is not new in Hollywood. But is anybody going to raise an issue?
I don't see this even being like I don't see this being like a romance story or anything. Well, J.J. Abrams, I believe he's just putting two forces together to like. I hate that we don't know anything about this project.
But if they were love interests, would you? I think no one would care.
That didn't even cross my mind. Their ages, like that didn't even like. I assumed she was like 26.
Yeah, I forgot that she was so young.
I didn't.
Really, you looked at Wednesday and thought she was 26?
No. I just. It's just my brain.
They made her look more like a kid, but I thought she was older.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Like when they put the two people together, I that doesn't even cross my mind if they're going to be in a romantic thing or what ages they are. I mean.
But 90% of the time they do. 90% of the time that they announce a big leading man and a big leading lady, they're going to have a romance in it, right?
I just like the characters that they played. I just want to see that interaction, like how they would bounce off each other. And it doesn't have to be romantic at all. I just want to see these two actors work together just to see what they could do. I mean, who knows?
All right, guys. Question is for you. It looks like Jenna Ortega and Glen Powell are going to be starring in a J.J. Abrams movie, something we haven't heard for a long time. And listen, again, as much as I disliked Rise of Skywalker, everybody has a bad day at the office. I think the movie world's better with him in it. Are you looking forward to this? Do you think they'll play a romantic relationship? Do you think they'll be something else? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a couple of other things we need to talk about, including Deadpool director Shawn Levy almost directed Channing Tatum's Gambit movie. Surprise, surprise, Disney Plus is raising their prices again, and not by just a tiny bit either. Also, Ryan Reynolds went after Nick Cage to appear in Deadpool as Ghost Rider. We're going to talk about that and a few things more, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Manscaped. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's episode, Manscaped. Sizzle alert, this summer, let the only thing that's smoking at your barbecue be the grill, not your grooming game. Get ready for the ultimate cookout season with Manscaped. Whether you're flipping burgers or cannonballing into the pool, make sure your meat looks neat with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. Head to manscaped.com and use the code Campea for 20% off and free shipping. Now, come on, guys, if you're like me, you used to do your grooming the old barbaric way. You know, using the clippers on your electric shaver, it never did a good job and always left me screaming out several profanities. So like me, you know that you need the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is perfect for achieving that crisp, clean, and confident look for your barbecues and beach days. The Weed Whacker 2.0, guys, keep your ears and nose as tidy as your hedges next door with our Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. And you get Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion, Crop Preserver, Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, and Boxers 2.0, the ultimate supplement to those hot summer days, equipped with the signature jewel pouch to protect your meatballs wherever the heat takes you. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use that code Campea. Manscaped, the perfect way to get your patties sizzling hot this summer. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to our next issue here, shall we? Paris, what do we got up next?
All right, so Channing Tatum's Gambit appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine was obviously a very sweet moment for the actor who never got to play the role he dreamed of playing. But it hits even closer to home. According to Deadpool and Wolverine director Shawn Levy, he almost directed that Channing Tatum Gambit movie. So, John, what do you think of this little revelation?
I love hearing about stuff like this. A little connection. Now, look, it should be pointed out that Shawn Levy didn't say that, oh, it was all signed and done, I was directing the Gambit movie. But, you know, he says in the interview that he was one of a dozen or more guys. I had heard some time ago that he was one of the actual finalists that they were really looking at. So he was close. He was close to doing the Gambit movie that never actually happened. There's something oddly poetic about, first of all, the Channing Tatum appearance in Deadpool was so sweet. Because those of us, and only those of us who follow movie news, like 90% of the general movie-going audience wouldn't have known anything about this. But for those of us who follow movie news, we've known for a long time that, you know, Channing Tatum was supposed to be Gambit. He was announced at Comic-Con to play Gambit like a decade ago, and all that type of wonderful stuff. And that he had always dreamed of playing the character. It was going to be his biggest thing. He was so looking forward to it. And then, of course, it fell apart. And then over the past couple of years, we've talked about stories where Channing Tatum did interviews saying, I've kept trying over the years to try to get something to happen, but it just never worked out. And then when you see him on screen, like in the movie, there's an authenticity to it when you see him talking about this, lamenting that people never got to know who he was, right? And all that kind of stuff. And there's a real sweetness to that I thoroughly enjoyed. And the fact that he got to finally come back and he finally got to step onto screen as the Gambit, as he finally was able to do that, that he sounded more like a bad George St. Pierre than anything else. But to do that was great. But understanding that Shawn Levy got to be one of the guys to help make that happen, who was also at one point looking at directing a Gambit film, I think is great. Now, much like the Henry Cavill situation, it brings up a lot of conversations of people asking, does this now mean that Gambit can come into the MCU? I don't think that's what they were setting up at all. I think it was just finally, like Gambit says in the movie, like, tell them to remember us or tell them about us or whatever. Just, hey, I actually got to do it. Yeah. Right? I never interpreted in any way that was them setting up, them actually bringing Gambit in there. But I will say this. Gambit, Channing Tatum, and Ryan Reynolds are very tight. Very tight. And could it be possible Ryan Reynolds could open some doors to get Gambit into the MCU? It's possible. I don't think they will, though, and I think he's done now. But understanding that Shawn Levy is going to be the director of that, I think is pretty cool. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, Shawn Levy got pretty close to actually directing the Channing Tatum Gambit movie, and now he got to direct him as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's a really cool story. I love hearing about stuff like this. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to the next item, shall we? Paris, what's up next?
Well, just like you can count on the sun setting at the end of every day, you can also count on streaming services announcing price increases almost monthly. Deadline is now reporting that Disney will hike the price of most streaming plans as of October 17th. The company said today, about a year after its last increase in fall of 2023. The new prices will see Disney Plus with ads rise to $9.99 from $7.99 a month. Ad-free will cost $15.99 from $13.99. John, are these price increases only about 9 months since the last increases going to be too much for subscribers?
It's getting to that point.
Yeah.
It's getting to that point. Now, Ray, can you look up for me, please?
Sure.
The bundle price they just announced for Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max.
Right.
I want to get that, but it's becoming a joke.
Yeah.
Like, here on this show, we are having to discuss seemingly every couple of weeks a streaming service increasing their prices.
You're talking about the Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max bundle?
Yes, sir.
At $16.99 per month.
$16.99.
That's with ads, without
With
ads?
ads.
That's ad supported, but that's still a pretty. Part of me speculated when I first found out about this because a friend of mine called me to let me know about it, and my first thought was, I wonder if Disney is doing this to make that bundle look even better. Maybe yes, maybe no. But getting back to the issue at hand. I mean, you're talking about raising these prices so frequently. Like, it's one thing if, like, Apple will raise the price of a this or that every 2 to 3 years. And with these streaming services, they are literally raising each individual one is like raising their prices multiple times a year. Multiple times a year. Now, look. I've often defended the price of the streaming services, not because I like it, but because when you look at what you get for each individual streaming service, it's a pretty good value proposition. You get a lot on Disney Plus. You get Disney and Pixar and Marvel and Nat Geo and Star Wars and Disney Animation and, all the archives and libraries and all that kind of stuff. Would I pay $16 a month for Disney Plus to have all of that? I personally would. I get a lot for the money. But as everybody always points out, and correctly so, it's also about an accumulation effect. Because we don't just have Disney Plus. We have Amazon and we have Apple TV Plus and we have Max and we have Netflix and we have, and on and on. And at some point, when Disney Plus launched, remember this? This is not that long ago. This is back when Mandalorian came out. Not that long ago, Disney Plus launched for $6.99. $6.99. Now, none of us were naive enough to think that, that's the price it's going to stay. There's no way they could be profitable at that price. We all knew that was the crack deal on the corner. Hey, kid, want a little taste?
Hey, you want some streaming?
Want some streaming?
We got the good streams over here, kid.
The good stuff. I'll give you your first one for free. Right? And we knew that's what it was. And that's okay. We understood that. That's fine. But never would I have dreamed that in just a couple of years, we'd literally be triple. We'd be at close to triple that price with seemingly multi-annual price increases all along the way. And they wonder why people engage in the churning. And I mean, look, again, part of it might be as a way. By the way, Disney Plus launched completely commercial free. All right? Disney Plus launched completely commercial free for $6.99 a month. Their
old days.
ad-supported plan now is almost twice as expensive as their ad-free plan used to be, not back when I was in high school, just a couple of years ago. Just a couple of haircuts ago.
You know, I never bothered with any streaming service that was over $10. Like, I wouldn't even give it a thought.
Same.
And I think Max was one of the more expensive ones when you wanted to sign up for it. It was like by itself. But if you include Disney Plus and Hulu, which was always expensive to me as well, that actually sounds like a great deal for me at least. And I never look at anything over $10.
And what did we say was the price again for that bundle, the Max Hulu?
$16.99
for the ad-supported.
right? But $30 for no ads for all.
For no ads, because the Disney Plus no ad by itself is now $16. And I think the Hulu no ad plan, I think is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's $19.
Yeah, let me see.
And then HBO Max is like 16. So you're
Right.
like
Yeah.
literally saving like 50%.
It's a great bundle. I mean, but will it stay that way?
Oh no.
No, it won't. And
Definitely
everyone knows that. We'll get this maybe for a year if they have like a year sign up.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows? Like, lock into this price if you can afford it. If you're paying for all three separately right now for who knows what reason, if you can lock into this price for a good amount of time, I would do it because this might be the lowest we'll see this bundle.
By the way, I just want to bring up this stuff. So Deadline's reporting that the Duo Basic, that's Disney Plus and Hulu, goes up $1 to $10.99 a month. And the premium one goes up to $19.99 a month. Now, here's the funny thing. The Disney Plus Hulu bundle with no ads is $19.99 a month. Hulu with no ads by itself is $18.99 a month. So that's crazy. ESPN Plus with ads also rises to $12 a month. Hulu Plus Live TV will rise from $77 a month to $83 a month.
And what was the other bundle that this one is trying to compete with? Was it wasn't there another bundle?
Well, there's like a Netflix Peacock thing,
And
but it's
one more
only
thing.
for like Verizon subscribers.
right.
So one of those things. So, I mean, look, at some point though, and I know this, we have to talk about this all the time. It's like, it's got to be too much. And to your point, Ray, like even that bundle deal, which sounds so good, none of us believe it's going to stay at that price.
Never.
It's like the scummy boyfriend going, baby, 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 I swear I'm done cheating on you
No.
for January.
They give you a taste of that blue.
Come February, I
the
might
blue
need to start
rocks
cheating
from
again.
Walter White.
The blue rock. Come February, I might need to start cheating a bit again. But for January, I swear I'm faithful. It's kind of nuts. We will see what happens, but at some point, this whole model is going to collapse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're there, but if this thing where every streaming service like 2 times a year is increasing their prices, at some point the audience is just going to go, F you guys, we're done. Yo ho, it's a pirate's life for me. And I am so anti-piracy. Piracy is stealing. I'm just saying there are going to be a lot of people.
Yeah.
Arr.
It's gonna be a new market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, we'll see what happens. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Disney, surprise, surprise, kills Supri. They got to pay for that Dogshit 23 conference somehow, so they're raising the prices. Again. What do you think about it? Listen, maybe you think this is still a good value proposition. Maybe you agree with me that this might be just being done to highlight how good of a package deal that is, the one they've got with Hulu and Max, and maybe trying to drive people to that. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to the next topic here, shall we? Paris, what we got up next?
Yeah, as we spoke about, Deadpool and Wolverine was obviously already filled with big appearances and cameos, but did you know they tried to get one more? According to IndieWire, Ryan Reynolds reached out to Nicolas Cage to try to get him in the film as Ghost Rider. Obviously, it didn't work, but John, do you think a Ghost Rider appearance would have been welcomed by the audience?
You know what? At some point, there is too much of a good thing, right? At some point, you have to say, yeah, that was cool. This many cameos were good and all that kind of stuff. But enough was enough. Deadpool and Wolverine are loaded with cameos. What I loved about the cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine, of course, is that everyone actually served a function. Every cameo they used wasn't just a, hi, everybody. It was a device used to help move the plot forward, right? And I loved that. But even I, who am like, don't overdo it on the cameos kind of train, even I gotta say, if that music kept going as they're in that room, dun, 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 and Elektra walks in, dun, 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 Blade walks in, dun, 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 Gambit, but it kept going, dun, 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 and freaking Nicolas Cage with a flaming skull comes walking through. Come on.
With the motorcycle?
With that on the motorcycle into the living room.
Leaving
No, the
dust on
motorcycle has
everyone.
its own entrance.
Yeah, I know. Come
Just
on.
his own big thing, riding in there. And even if, like the other characters, he only ended up having 5, 6, 7 lines, I gotta admit, I'd be pretty down for it. Now, the story seems to suggest that Ryan Reynolds did reach out. And Ryan Reynolds did want this to happen. I'm guessing it doesn't say so in the article specifically, but the guess here, my operating assumption, at least at any rate, is that Nick Cage probably turned it down. And you know what? I wouldn't blame him at all, because it's not like Wesley Snipes' Blade, where he never got the chance to come back and do it again. It's not like Jennifer Garner's Elektra, who didn't get a chance to come back and play the character. It's not like Channing Tatum's Gambit, who never got the chance to play the role. This is something Nicolas Cage wants to forget about and wants all of us to forget about.
I haven't asked this, but is there any cameo, just one person, John, you think they dropped the ball where it could have, you would love to see that character, that actor in this group? Like, is there anyone that you have in mind where you'd have been like, this would have worked.
Yes.
I would have loved this one.
Yes, but I will say in hindsight, I realize it's probably for the best that they didn't. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen as Charles Xavier and Magneto. I mean, they certainly spend a lot of time in the movie talking about Chuck, talking about Charles. Mm-hmm. That's the one. I also really thought James Marsden as Cyclops would have been, I mean, again, they mentioned him, but in reflection, after seeing the movie a few times, I realized, you know what? It would have been unnecessary. And the whole joke about, like, when Deadpool's going, tell me you got Magneto. No, fuck. It just, I mean, that was worth it. So I would have liked to have seen those ones, but I get why they didn't do it.
Mine would have been, and unfortunately it couldn't happen, was Ray Stevens' Punisher. I mean, that would have been, that version of Punisher is such a great version. And with that group, would have been really cool, but we know we can't have it anymore.
That's of course really sad that didn't happen. I mean, it could have happened because he was still alive when they were shooting the movie.
Right.
So yeah, that would have been cool. Although, out of all the Punisher movies, that's probably the one that got the least amount of viewership. I don't know that many people saw Punisher Warzone, but I think it is my favorite Punisher movie.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Punisher movie.
Yeah.
I love that one. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Ryan Reynolds says he actually reached out and wanted to get Nicolas Cage in the movie as Ghost Rider. It obviously didn't work out. Do you think maybe it would have been a little bit too much? Maybe you feel like me that it would have fit in really nice. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're now going to get to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick second to thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Speaking of Deadpool, our friends over at Mint Mobile. You know when you discover You know when you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you bump on repeat and you have to share it with your friends so they
I've
can
hit
experience
so many
just
wrong
how awesome it
buttons.
is? That's kind of what it
stopped
feels
the
like when you
recording.
discover that Mint
I
Mobile
moved to a
offers
different
premium wireless
shot.
for
I turned off the
$15 a
ad.
month when you purchase a 3-month
Okay.
plan.
Again.
It's such
So
an
I'm
awesome
now
deal. There is
recording
no
again.
way you can
I'll
keep
just
it to
download
yourself.
the
My
video.
last mobile
It's
service
because I have to
provider
get
was quite
timestamps
good,
and
but
stuff.
ever
It's
since
like-
I
it'll
switched
just
to Mint
be-
Mobile, I've enjoyed
how long will
even
that take
better
to download the
coverage,
video?
better
Usually
phone
it's up
clarity,
within 10
and I'm
minutes.
paying less than a third of what I paid to my old provider. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all... Everything that could go wrong went wrong. So fuck it. We'll do it live. No, so you know what? I'm going to go back. I started hitting buttons. I got my stream deck. I was hitting all these wrong buttons. And I guess one of the wrong buttons was turning the mics back on. So you know what? That was unfair to our sponsors. We're going to start the sponsor spot again without my running commentary on all the things I was doing wrong. So now let's once again thank my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. You know when you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you bump on repeat and you have to share it with your friends so they can experience just how awesome it is? That's kind of what it feels like when you discover that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal, there is no way you can keep it to yourself. My last mobile service provider was quite good, but ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've enjoyed even better coverage, better phone clarity, and I'm paying less than a third of what I paid to my old provider. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. No, I understand how you got it in your butt, but how did you get it? Oh, and we're back! And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Anyway, guys, thanks to Ray for that idea. Let's now move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions, shall we? Paris, what do we got up first?
All right, so the Bobster says, "Hi, John. What do you think other characters hear when Deadpool makes one of his inside references? Example, it's like the studio didn't have enough money for any more X-Men. Do they hear what he's actually saying and just ignore him?" This is a two-parter. And what about when he talks to the camera? Do they see that and wonder what he's doing? I would love to see that acknowledged by another character. Maybe even show it from another angle, like Rhodey seeing Peter Quill singing in Endgame.
There's a good question. I think they see exactly what they see. They probably just think Deadpool is a nut job. He's a total nut job. And that's what they see. Like when he runs away from Mr. Paradox for a second, says, just give me a minute. He runs over and goes, "Fox, get fucked. I'm going to Disneyland." He just sees him doing that. And then you see the utter confusion on his face as well. Like he has no idea what he's talking about. So that's my guess there, Bobster, is that they literally see what we think they see, which is him doing exactly that, but just think he's kind of crazy. All right, what's next?
All right, Korea Got Soul says, "Hey, John and the crew, I'm curious to know, have you heard the rumors about Viggo Mortensen playing the Prime Doctor Doom, and what are your thoughts on this? He was always my first pick to be Doctor Doom, but I'm taking this with a grain of salt."
Absolute zero. Absolute zero. Now, I am not claiming knowledge. The Russo brothers did not call me and tell me, "Oh, and by the way, John, Viggo Mortensen is not a Prime Doctor Doom." No, but honestly, for me, don't believe any bullshit casting stuff at this point. They are a long way away from start shooting this thing. If people didn't know Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Doom, people don't know Viggo Mortensen is going to. So I would say right now, although I don't know as a fact, but I'm just saying for me right now, I'd say it's an absolute big goose egg, big zero. All right, what's next? Although I do love him. He's great, but no chance. All right, what's next?
Right. Dr. Stinky says, hey, John, hope your voice is doing good.
It's almost there.
Almost. Anyway, what is your favorite horror film of the 2000s? Mine would be A Quiet Place and or The Babadook. A Quiet Place is a better movie, but The Babadook is just freakishly creepy. Anyway, thanks for all you do.
Most people who watch a show will know what I'm going to say. It's The Descent. The Descent to me is one of the most effective little horror movies I've ever. It's actually my second favorite all time, not just out of the 2000s. Because the damn thing about this movie is before the monsters show up, you're scared shitless. Like they use claustrophobia and all this kind of stuff. Like this group of women cave diving, and like most people, you think skydiving, you think this big hike, you think cave diving. I've always thought, it might be cool to go cave diving. And then I watched The Descent and I'm like, nope, that's not going to happen. Ever, ever, ever. But anyway, if you haven't seen The Descent, I highly, highly recommend it. All right, what's next?
Suthia says, I've been seeing a lot of confusion lately about sling rings and if they allow you to travel only within your own universe or not. Well, I rewatched 2016 Doctor Strange, and Mordo specifically states they allow us to travel throughout the multiverse.
Ooh, I didn't remember that line. I mean, if that's true, and I'm saying I don't remember the line, but if that's true, and he did actually say that, that actually completely clears that all up, right? If it's actually established in the first film that that's what it does, then that makes what's happened in Deadpool and Wolverine completely logical. So thanks for bringing that up, Suthius. I appreciate that, man. That's a good good bit of information. All right, what's next?
Your Name says, the girl who worked with an FBI agent in That Darn Cat ended up working for the FBI in Trap. Folks should never mess with Pollyanna.
What, like, are you talking about like the 19 forever ago's That Darn Cat? I don't even remember who was in that thing. But if you're saying like one of the women from that is actually in Trap, listen, I wanted to see Trap. I had tickets to see Trap, and I were excited about. I've been excited about it ever since CinemaCon, but then I got my ass kicked and got really sick, and so obviously I wasn't able to go. Still haven't gone to see it yet, but I hope I get to see it too. All right, what's next?
Lavetto says, I know you've been speculating about a Tony variant becoming Doom. I find it unnecessary. It could just be a villain from another universe who looks exactly like 616's greatest hero. That's all the emotional conflict you need, in my opinion.
Nah. Like coincidence? Oh, he just happens to look like... And in the Marvel multiverse... just having somebody who's just not a variant, but just happens to look exactly like that guy. If that's the case, then I will join the throngs of people who are saying, why did you need to cast Robert Downey Jr. then? Like just by luck and by circumstance and by pure, randomness, it just happens to be another guy who just happens to look like him. That's not enough to me. Like that to me doesn't do it. So, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that's not what they're doing, Lavetto. That maybe that is what they're doing, but to me, that would be a very, very odd choice to me personally. All right, what's next?
Escrow says, the more I see him, the more I'm convinced that Dan Stevens is just one great role away from an Oscar nomination.
He's really good. And by the way, as much as some people... I know it's in style to crap on the live action Beauty and the Beast. It was nowhere near as good as the original animated movie. It's a good little movie, though. I mean, again, nowhere near as good as the original animated, but it's a good little movie.
He was the orthodontist, right?
The what?
The orthodontist in Godzilla X Kong.
Oh, yes, he was. He was the monster dentist.
Yeah, the monster dentist. The kaiju teeth.
The kaiju teeth man.
Yeah.
Is what he was. And by the way, and so anyway, getting back to Beauty and the Beast, he was really good as the Beast in that. And by the way, I just did in our newsletter yesterday, I talked about Abigail, which is a tragically under appreciated movie. Not enough people went to go see it. It's really good. And Dan Stevens is actually really good in it.
He's in that?
Yeah, Dan Stevens.
Elon Musk.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. Sorry.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Right.
The one girl from
Scream.
Scream.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's gone now. I mean, it's a good cast. The little girl who plays Abigail's fantastic. But yeah, Dan Stevens. Yeah,
What's that playing on right now? You said what streaming service?
Peacock.
Peacock. Okay.
It's on Peacock right now. Yeah, check it out. It's really good. All right, what's next?
All right, Zach DeLeon says, "Hey John and crew, working overnights, your channel gets me through the night.
Oh, nice.
I've been able to catch up on TVs and movies, and for the first time, I've been watching Game of Thrones, and all I have to say is, Hodor, hold the door. Thanks for everything you do."
There's something so weird about that Hodor scene, in that at first I thought, wait a minute, his name's Hodor because of saying hold the door. This is stupid. And then the longer and longer the scene went, I'm like, this is stupid. This is dumb. Oh. Why won't they help Hodor? Like, and all of a sudden it was like really meaningful, right? And actually had impact. So I went from thinking this is really, really stupid to like, this is so beautiful. Like, I really liked it.
Shook. That moment was so emotional for me.
Oh, so good. All right, what's next?
All right. Paul Dean says, "Hi, John. Hope you're feeling better. I just had a thought. What if in Trap there's another twist other than what they show in the trailer? What if his daughter is in on it? Probably not what they're doing, but who knows?"
Well, I mean, I said that after we saw the footage of CinemaCon. I think in our CinemaCon stream, I even said, I think maybe his daughter's in on it. Now, full disclosure, I haven't seen the movie yet. So some of you are sitting in there going, you're wrong. Yeah. But I mean, I speculate that could be a part of it too. Maybe. I mean, highly doubtful because his daughter's pretty small in the trailer at any rate. So I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm looking forward to finding out. All right. What's next?
Spencer Rangi says, "Hey Campea crew, here in New Zealand, Deadpool and Wolverine is R16. No entry if you're underage, even with an adult. As a cinema worker, I recently turned away a 12-year-old's birthday party. Having 10 crying kids wasn't on my agenda that day. Womp womp."
Oh,
Ouch.
yeah.
Maybe
Serious rules.
Maybe it should be at $1 billion right now, man.
Yes.
Yeah, man. To be the one to say, now again, the rating system works differently in every country, right? And by the way, I remember I had to bring this up on a show the other day. You know, somebody wrote in, they're not legally allowed to let them. No, guys, listen. Movie theaters are not bound by what the MPA says. A movie theater is not bound. If the MPA gives an R rating to something, the movie theaters are not bound to have to honor that. They don't have to. They choose to, because it offers protections for them and for everybody else in the industry. But they choose. I remember once I was at AMC Theaters, and a movie is not supposed to be allowed to be released in theaters unrated. That means it bypasses the MPA. Because there was this little horror movie, I can't even remember what it was. Something that sucked, I'm sure. But I can't remember. And the MPA, I think, was going to give it like an NC-17. And they didn't want to get an NC-17. And AMC said, we'll just put it out unrated. And that caused a huge kerfuffle. I was at AMC at the time. Caused a huge kerfuffle amongst, the theater chains and the industry and whatever. And I don't think AMC has done it again since. But just an interesting little tidbit for you.
They did the opposite to me when I went to try to go watch Paw Patrol. They said I may be too old.
All right. What's next? One ticket for Paw Patrol, please.
Well, we're going to have to take you in for some questions before we let you.
Suthia says, "Yeah, I would love to see Gambit in Secret Wars. Imagine him being there with the entire lineup of heroes and no one has a goddamn clue what he's saying. And the only one who can translate is Wong. LOL. I do hope we see Wong soon, maybe in Thunderbolts."
I have no doubt we're going to see Wong again soon. Wong, I mean, even like Kevin Feige joked, it's now the Wong cinematic universe. Wong is kind of becoming the connective tissue. And I'll tell you what, you couldn't get a better guy to be that role, because it can't be one of your linchpin characters. Like, it can't be Thor. Thor can't be that character. Cap can't be that character. You need a guy like Wong who is legitimately powerful, but is also just adored. Like he's fun. He can just be funny and stuff like that. By the way, the post-credit scene on Shang-Chi, where they take Wong to the karaoke bar, is one of the best post-credit scenes I think ever done. And then Wong's appearance in the main movie, it just, whenever he pops up, I absolutely love him. I just rewatched Infinity War again not long ago too, and the whole intro scene when him and Doctor Strange are just walking down the steps and he's like trying to get Doctor Strange to buy him a sandwich at Subway or something like that. Anyway, I just love Wong. He's great. All right, what's next?
Gus, a Brazilian viewer, this is a two-parter, says, "Hi, John and crew. Long-time viewer, but first-time interaction.
Thank you, man.
Yay. Just decided to thank you all for these years of high-quality content. The way you communicate yourself is such a rare gem in the online world nowadays." Part 2, "I really hope we can all learn from your empathetic, non-aggressive approach to movie talk. An overall discussion, I would say. P.S. I also hope to see you and the entire crew at CCXP, that's Comic-Con Brazil, soon."
Fuck you, Gus. No, thank you so much, man. That's very kind. And listen, I've been saying for a long time, for a couple of years now, I would really like to go to that CCXP thing.
I can't wait to see what we catch over there and come back with.
Oh, no.
These conventions are becoming a very sketchy.
Dude, at least every other Comic-Con I go to, I end up getting really sick.
Yeah.
Like you get the nerd crud.
How could you not? You're so close to people.
Did you see the nerd
Like,
crowd?
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Some people call it nerd crud.
Yeah.
Like these like some of these guys, they'll like pack up, they'll save all year, travel to Comic-Con, not shower for a week.
But it looks like the CCXP is actually outdoors, right? From
No,
the
no.
photos we see? No? Okay, well.
No, it's
I'm gonna
indoors.
catch more things.
But I mean, I just been seeing things about this for years, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've always just wanted to go to Brazil. Like ever since I was a kid and saw Hoist Gracie come out and introduce Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to the world, I thought, I want to go to Brazil someday. And maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year.
Or
We'll find
maybe
out.
next year. Where we get a little bit more Marvel stuff. I mean, they just...
I'll probably be retired by next year.
I know, but we just don't go.
Well, you can still go. Yeah, nothing says we
life
can't go.
doesn't stop after you retire.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we
true.
still go to
We can still
experience
go.
stuff.
I'm down for that. All right, what's next?
This is a two-parter, but I only see one part for Chris.
Oh dear, sorry about that, Chris.
Is
They might have forgot to hit the enter button, but you know what's happened before? I've had people write to me afterwards, because we always get like a 2 of 2 when there's not a 1 of 2.
Yeah.
And I actually had somebody write to me once and go, I filled it out, and then I just wrote my second note over it before hitting send. Maybe that happened here, but let's see if we can interpret what Chris is trying to say.
All right, so we got Chris saying the short 101 fight between Cap and Thanos. That shield and hammer fight choreography is some of the best looking fighting in the MCU to me.
If we're talking about the fight in Endgame, man, first of all, that whole portal scene, first of all, the fight between Iron Man, Thor, and Cap versus Thanos, that by itself was great. But once Cap got the hammer, and it was him going one-on-one with Thanos. Listen, I know I always go back to my MMA terminology, but Cap was landing thunder. And that's not a lightning pun. I mean, Cap was landing some thunder. There's that one shot where he hit him with the huge uppercut with Mjolnir. Like he got Thanos curled over and then boom with the huge uppercut with the hammer.
The very first thing I thought of was like, oh my God, if there was a Street Fighter game that was like that, that's all I thought. Could be a fighting game.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was such a I mean, that whole thing, it was like, I think when people, I often say that Endgame is a bit of an overrated film. Like, I love it, but it's a little overrated. And I think the reason it's a little overrated is like when people think of Endgame, I think in most people's memories, the movie starts when Thor, Cap, and Iron Man walk out onto that rock and they see Thanos. And like, well, that's you. And then Thor holds out Stormbreaker and transforms from fat Thor to cool fat Thor. Looks so good.
There's nothing better than having a great fight scene, but then also there's a little mini story going on.
Yes.
Like at the end of Civil War when it was Bucky and Cap versus Iron Man.
Oh.
There was a story right there that every punch meant something. The look on their face, what we were feeling, I thought that was one of the best.
That's
fight
what I've
scenes.
always said, right? The thing I've always said about action in movies is this. Action without narrative purpose is empty calories. It's just what I call visual noise. Action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. So you go back to that one in Civil War with Buck, Tony, and Cap.
heartbreaking.
It's story. When you look at the fight, the airport fight in Civil War, there's story being told through the action. When you look at what's going on at the end of Endgame, there is story unfolding. Like that's when it's used best, and that's what Marvel's done really well. All right, what's next?
All right. Thomas BDL says, "Hi team, that's it. Apple released a small teaser to announce the release date of Shrinking Season 2, October 16th. Their lineup for the next few months looks incredible. Slow Horses in September, Shrinking in October, Silo in November, and Severance in January."
Listen, I'll be honest, I still haven't started watching Slow Horses, but Shrinking, guys, I know I'm a broken record here. I know there are a lot of you who still haven't started watching Shrinking. It is Harrison Ford's best work in ages. The show is warm. It's brutally hilarious. Please go watch Shrinking. It's so good. Then Silo comes back. I really enjoyed Silo. And Severance comes back. And after that cliffhanger at the end of season 1, I've been waiting 3 years for them to come back for this, so I'm excited for all of it. It's going to be a good lineup for Apple. All right, what's next?
All right. Anthony R says, "John, I just found your Ancient Superman Returns review.
Wow.
They say that time changes opinions. Do you still believe that Brandon Routh did a better job than Christopher Reeves? Routh was good, but he was a mostly silent Superman with a weak script."
Well, I mean, you got to take the script part out of it, right? It's because the actor can do nothing about the script that they have, good or bad, right? Now, I never said that Brandon Routh played the role better. I just said he was a better Superman, and I still believe that today. Now, look, I'm not taking away from the iconic positioning and the forever, enshrined in the all-time Hall of Fame that Christopher Reeve is, of course. I'm just saying, for me, Reeves, gosh golly, ma'am, that's not a Superman for me. That's all I'm saying. Golly, ma'am, oh, gosh, Miss Lane, that's not the Superman for me. That's all I'm saying. That's why, to me, Brandon Routh, who was kind of supposed to be an extension of the Christopher Reeve Superman, I just liked the manifestation of Superman a little bit better, even though Superman 2 is way better than Superman Returns, for sure. I'm not saying it's not, but that's why for me, I'll just take Brandon Routh Superman. I just, the cellophane saran wrap S off his shirt kind of Superman. It is what it is. And Christopher Reeve is an all-time iconic. I can't wait for that documentary. Yeah. What was it called again? Man of Steel or The Superman or whatever it's going to be called. I can't wait to watch it. People were crying just at the trailer. Can't wait to see that. All right. What's next?
All right. Anthony R says, "This is a two-parter. John, I don't usually agree with you on the quality of DC animation, but you win this time. I just saw the 3-part Crisis on Infinite Earths, and my God, that was horrible. I'm glad WB and James Gunn are killing that universe. Also, I saw Caped Crusader on Amazon Prime. Ooh. Meh. I see why Zaslav asked this from Max. Bruce Timm is much better than he is paired with Alan Burnett and Paul Dini, the writers from Batman, the animated series. Sorry, but JJ and Reeves didn't help this."
Yeah, I'm very interested in watching this Caped Crusader show. I know a lot of people got really upset when they found out that they made the Penguin a woman, but whatever. I mean, I got to see if it's good or not. I mean, if it's good, then it's good. If it's not, then it's not. But I am curious to see it. I know the trailer didn't do much for me, but I've heard from a few people that they actually like it. I know you obviously didn't, Anthony R., and maybe I won't either. But yeah, so my thing is, I basically believe that almost everything home video created for Marvel and DC stuff animation is crap. I've seen very, very, very few. There have been a couple exceptions, but very few exceptions. You know, a lot of people are then saying to me, John, what about Mask the Phantasm? That wasn't straight to home video. That actually got a theatrical release. But most Marvel and DC straight to home video animation stuff I find garbage. Again, there are a couple of exceptions. In the Marvel realm, their Doctor Strange animated movie was really quite good. On the DC side, things like Under the Red Hood, fabulous. So they do have a couple of good ones. And then there's that one where Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, fucked Batman on top of the roof. Like, dude's popping spillies with his friend's daughter. I don't know. That one was like really. Killing Joke. That's what it was. That one was Killing Joke. That was awful. That was terrible. But anyway, that's just how I look at that stuff. All right. What's next?
All right. Stubble McShave says, I love the season of House of the Dragon. My only big criticism was that there were several scenes that were so dark that it was difficult to see what was happening.
You know what? That seems to be a Game of Thrones thing, man.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, in my living room, and I don't know if I'll see if I can bring up a picture of it just to give you guys an idea about what I'm dealing with here. So in my living room, we have this, we have a really nice 85-inch TV up on the wall. And we like it. I'll bring it up here. So we got this 85-inch TV up on the wall. It's great. It's beautiful. But if you look at the screen, what do you see? You see window glare. Yeah. We have a lot of windows, which is great for our living room because we have a lot of, big natural light. I really like that. But we have all these windows all over the place. So even and at 6 p.m., when House of the Dragon comes on, there's still light outside. Mm-hmm. And even when we drop all the blinds, there's still so much ambient light in the room that in those really, really dark scenes, and there's a number of them, even on a TV as bright as this one, it becomes very, very difficult to see. Now, Leonardo is very correctly pointing out it's a first world problem. Oh, absolutely it is. Make no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But we're talking, we are a movie and streaming show, and we talk about the things that come along with being movie and streaming fans. And that one, watching House of the Dragon, when there's a dark scene, unless you're in a pitch dark room, you're not going to see what's going on. And so I totally agree with you. That totally is one of the problems there. All right, what's next?
Ronnie, thank you so much for the support.
Sends in $20. Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate that, man.
Ronnie says D&W was great. Already saw it 5 times the last 2 weeks. Wow. Got my Wolverine bucket and my D&W cups. Loved. When Ryan came back with that quip after I want to show you something huge, and with Gambit about dialect coach, I was dying.
Oh my, they kept doing it. It's like, who is your dialect coach? The Minions? And just like when he turns thing, like I'm sorry, but I really feel like the audience is missing out on huge amounts of exposition. I mean, it was funny, and they didn't carry it on too long because they went back to it a couple times, and they knew just where to stop going back to it. It's like, okay, we got the joke, and they didn't push it too far, and that was one of the great things about it. And yes, the thing, another joke I nearly choked myself was when I forget the character's name again from the TVA, who runs the TVA. Oh. And she said at the end, I want to show you something huge. And then Deadpool goes, that's what Scoutmaster Timmy used to say. I'm like, I remember the first time I was watching the movie, I had just a small handful of popcorn getting ready to go in my mouth. He said, that's what Scoutmaster Timmy used to say. I was like, I think I probably got some on the guy in front of me. Anyway, yeah, that line was absolutely hilarious. And again, Ronnie, thanks so much for supporting us on that level. We really appreciate it. All right, what's next?
All right, AL says, John, since I know you're the biggest fan of the multiverse, how would you react if Star Wars did the multiverse in either a Spider-Man or a Deadpool and Wolverine way? Amazingness or what the F-ness?
They've already kind of started. in a very terrible episode of Rebels. And I loved Rebels, by the way. I totally adored Rebels. I thought Rebels was a great show. I don't think everything in Rebels was great, but I really enjoyed Rebels a lot. But they introduced this fucking world between worlds thing that they then touched on again in that terrible Ahsoka show. And so they have already kind of started to introduce multiverse. And I hope they never get into it because I'll be honest with you. If they ever did a Star Wars movie that was multiverse likened unto those other properties you mentioned, I'm not watching it. I'm not saying I'm ditching on Star Wars altogether, but I'm not going to bother watching. I think that would be phenomenally stupid for them to do. So I wouldn't be down for it personally. All right. What's next?
All right. Anonymous says, Ray, are you watching the pole vault? Philippines are fighting for a medal.
Oh, I was actually watching that last night. I had no idea though that the Philippines was even in that event. So now I'm gonna actually maybe catch some replays or maybe watch it from now on.
All right. Anne showed me a video this morning that I couldn't believe was real, but I started laughing my head off.
What is it?
It's the pole vault. There's a guy who literally lost out on a medal because his. Did you see this?
Yes.
Because what?
His dick's too big.
The French man.
Oh, I think he planned that. He's like, make sure my outfit is forgiving.
Oh,
So
my
he
God, this
goes
is slow-mo.
He goes
and
over,
and he hit the pole, hits the pole.
and the pole hits the pole.
Oh, pole on pole. He should get an award for that. He should have just gotten an award no matter what.
Yeah.
Before the pole vault even happened.
We did. Marcus Wise pointing this out. We didn't realize it. It was Scoutmaster Timmy.
Oh yeah.
Scoutmaster Timmy was the pole vaulter.
You shouldn't get so excited before he pole vaults.
I
He
say
needs
it's a win for France. It's still a win.
It's still a win for
France is like, we'll take it. No podium or not. You know what you know what we got.
Oh, we
got gold medal in
très bien.
well, if he did win, where would he put the gold medal? Well,
Where do they hang it?
Which
Where's
neck?
the person
Which neck
coming
will
in?
be the one that was? I mean, he should get two.
Oh, man.
What Anne was cracking up at,
How many followers did he get
Right.
after that?
probably a lot of followers.
He's like the most followed athlete now on
Like
Instagram.
Simone Biles, no. French guy, yeah.
What Anne was cracking up at the most, though, because she showed to me, just watch. When he goes over and you can see the package catches the pole, as his body turns towards the camera, he starts to go down. You see underneath his shorts, the door stops if you fling it, goes. You see underneath his sticks go.
Okay, Nike, we see a problem with your gear. Tighten it up.
Oh, my
But
God.
anyways,
Too
thanks,
funny.
John, for bringing that
Yeah.
to this innocent question this guy just asked me. Thanks for bringing it up.
So I couldn't help it. This is the pole vault. I mean, this guy. Listen, there is no greater way to lose a gold medal.
Yeah.
If he becomes a star of the Olympics of Paris, we all know what
If the
everyone
Hop
cares.
to a girl can get all
Yeah.
these deals, he
Yes.
should.
Why
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
pole on pole guy?
Hold on.
Why not?
Holy.
All right. What's next?
BP says, hey guys, I recently visited LA for the first time, and while at a grocery store in West Hollywood, I realized that the guy in line in front of me was Simu Liu. I was probably standing next to him for a good 5 minutes without even realizing. Cheers.
First of all, good Canadian kid, Simu Liu. Ann and I have had a chance to meet him and talk to him. It was great. He's wonderful. But you might actually be talking about when I first moved to LA, I thought it would be the coolest thing in the world because I was coming to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I moved right into Hollywood. I moved right onto Sunset Boulevard. Did you too?
Yeah, Sunset and Vine when I first moved here.
I mean, it was ridiculously expensive, but I thought I got to live on Sunset on the
you
strip.
gotta live that life.
Right? And I lived right across. If you guys ever watched Entourage, you know how in the beginning credits of Entourage, they go by these big landmarks in Hollywood and they do it. Well, in Entourage, they drive by this big strip club called the Seventh Veil. That's right on Sunset Boulevard. My apartment was right across the street from Seventh Veil. So I'd always see these flashing, glowing lights in my window, like a circus calling out to children. But It was there. And right beside the apartment was this big West Hollywood grocery store called Ralph's. And it was there. And so I would just run across the street to Ralph's to get my groceries and stuff like that. And I ran into so many celebrities at that Ralph's. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how many times I ran into people there. Not like every day, don't get me wrong, but an awful lot of times that happened. So I'm glad you had that experience, man. That's great. All right, what's next?
All right. Brutus says, hey guys, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones and the characters and dialogue are so rich and the actors are so charismatic that almost every scene is magnetic. House of the Dragon is a 90% boring, plain dialogue with no humor or wit, predictable, and too dependent on CGI dragons.
Well, considering only about 2% of the screen time has ever had a dragon on it, I think that's verifiably a nonsensical thing to say. That being said, listen, all entertainment's subjective. I completely disagree with your assessment, but that doesn't mean your assessment is any more or less valid than mine. I'm just saying I completely disagree with it. I have been enthralled with this show. I think the dialogue... Now, the one thing that House of the Dragon is missing, that Game of Thrones had, is a Tyrion. Is a Peter Dinklage. Like that character, that's a once-in-a-lifetime character. We don't have that in House of the Dragon. That's fine. But the dialogue, the drama, the conflict, it's every bit. Look, I'm not saying that House of the Dragon is better than Game of Thrones, but I believe the first 2 seasons of House of the Dragon are better than the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. I wholeheartedly believe that, like 100%. Now, whether or not I can keep that up and stay up with Game of Thrones season 4 and 5, whatever, we'll see. But for me personally, again, I'm not saying it's better than Game of Thrones season 4, 5, 6, but I think the first 2 seasons of House of Dragon have been better than the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. But you disagree, and that's perfectly fine. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, I just watched a few Secret Wars explainer videos, but this time I was picturing RDJ as Doom. It honestly worked for me to have an evil Tony variant in that role. I see the character similarities. I'm sure that RDJ will be an amazing and evil God Doom.
You know, I heard one comic book pundit kind of say this, that Victor and Tony are kind of 2 opposite sides of a very similar coin. And when he put it like that, that's when a light bulb really went off for me. That, again, I need to emphasize this. If Kevin Feige had called me and asked me if I think they should make Robert Downey Jr. Doom, I probably would have said no. But if you can't recognize, and I say this to myself as well, if you can't recognize the creative possibilities of that 2 opposite sides of a very similar coin mentality of a Victor and a Tony. I mean, there's the comic book storyline where the 2 of them were even college roommates. Anyway, I think there is a wealth of possibility. And so far, the only argument I've heard against it is because that's not what they did in the comics. Guess what? That's not good enough. There's thousands of things they've done in the MCU that have been extraordinary that was not the way they done it in the comics, right? That doesn't mean it will work, but that is an excuse as to why it's a bad idea offhand. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. That's been disproven hundreds of times. So, look, will it work? Will it not work? I don't know. But I'm just saying I have to acknowledge that the creative storytelling narrative possibilities of taking an approach like this are outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. It is a bold decision. It's a gutsy decision. It's caught everybody off guard and off their heels. I think it's a fabulous creative idea that may go south and may be terrible. But I think if you don't try to step back out of your own prejudice, and I have to do this as well. If we don't step back out of our old prejudices and just recognize it for what it is, this has infinite creative possibilities. I think you're sticking your head in the sand. Doesn't mean you have to like it. But you at least have to acknowledge the objective truth here that there is a world of creative storytelling possibilities here that could be great. So let's see what they do. All right, what's next?
All right. Logan Vaughn says Unsolved Mysteries is back on Netflix. 5 new episodes are out. I love getting lost in creepy and unsettling mystery docs like this. Give me a bowl of ice cream, a blanket, and a gruesome crime doc any night of the week. Have you seen Unsolved Mysteries?
I can honestly say, well, obviously everybody's heard of Unsolved Mysteries. I have never seen an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, not even one.
Not even one.
Oh,
now, is
man.
this a murder show?
It pretty much is, yeah. Like unsolved murder mysteries.
Kind of like the big fad of all the podcasts now are unsolved murder mysteries
Yes.
thing. That's what it.
Are we talking about the newer one that was on Netflix, the Unsolved Mysteries?
That's what it sounds like it's
I haven't
saying.
seen the newest one, but
Yeah, that one seems to be more focused on. I remember Unsolved Mysteries, the old one, used to focus on like paranormal stuff too, and just a bunch of like the crazy. But the new one on Netflix seems to be more focused on like unsolved murders and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, it worked for me. I love both. So
Did you ever see that Saturday Night Live sketch, Murder Show?
Oh, yeah.
no, but I love murder shows, so I should see it.
They do a sketch. It's a music video. Murder show. Gotta watch my murder show. And they just go. It's. I think Nick Jonas appears in it too. You got to see it. It's.
Oh, yeah.
Look up Murder Show SNL on YouTube and watch it. It's really funny. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says Tony Stark had I am Iron Man and Thanos had I am inevitable. With RDJ's Doom, I predict we'll have a dark spin on the I am Iron Man moment where he said I am God instead and then kills a beloved MCU character. God Doom is coming.
God Emperor Doom. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, somebody else wrote in once and said, I am Doom. That sounds a little bit more in line with it. But yeah, there's a lot of different play on words they can do. I don't want them to go too on the nose with it. You know, make sure avoid any of that, Logan. But I do think he's going to kill some beloved MCU people. I really do. And listen, I know everybody is mad at me for saying it, but Pepper and Tony's daughter are pretty good candidates. You want to get everybody feeling the evil. All right, what's next?
Korea Got Soul says, hey, John and the crew, I'm wondering if you've seen Batman Cape Crusader, and I'm curious about your thoughts. I think so far it's good stuff. And Amish Linklater is a great successor.
No, haven't seen it yet. I don't even know when it dropped. I knew it was dropping. Have you watched any of it yet,
I
Ray?
watched the first episode, and so far,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so far I like it. It reminds me a little bit of the animated series, but I can't really go into it until I finish it. But I did like the first episode.
Did they drop the whole series?
I believe so.
Oh,
yeah.
they did?
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon Prime, right?
Amazon Prime.
All right, I have to go check it out. All right, what's next?
Uphill Ice Skater says, OG Blade fan, 97 Gambit fan. I got them both in the same movie. Was Blade in a $1 billion Marvel movie? What the hell? Mother effer still trying to ice skate uphill? Are you kidding me? Maybe I was born in the void. Oh my God. Elektra in a $1 billion Marvel movie? Shaking my head.
He continues.
Oh, more? Okay. What % of the audience of that $1 billion caught all the movie news, non-canonical references to behind the scenes stuff? I don't like you. You never did. Maybe I was born in the void. Who's your dialect coach? Oh my God.
Yeah, listen, there are clearly jokes in this movie that are not meant for average moviegoers, but rather just those of us who follow movie news. Jokes like, I don't like you. You never did. Obviously, only people who follow the Blade 3 drama. And again, we've been saying on the show for months that, listen, guys, there's never been any truth to the fact that Wesley Snipes clearly did not like the director of Blade 3, David Goyer.
Yeah.
That's clear. But that he and Ryan Reynolds, we've been saying for months, never had a problem with each other. Like, the two of them never had, they've even said publicly over the years that they have totally cool with each other. But still, to have that joke in there, I don't like you, you never did, is great. And of course, people who don't follow movie news never knew that Channing Tatum was supposed to play Gambit. So I'd say maybe 10% of the audience, about 10% of the audience, I would say, got it. All right, what's next?
All right. Keith Williams says, part 1. Hey, John, been a fan for about 10 years.
Wow, thank you, man.
That's a while. All right. What are the chances they do a soundtrack of several original 60s style songs for Fantastic Four? Similar to how Matt Shackman had WandaVision's fun original theme songs represent the era for that episode.
I think there's a very, very good chance that, remember, this is the 1960s, but it's not our 1960s. It's a different universe's 1960s that's at a different place technologically, maybe culturally, maybe not. So I think them having like a play on that kind of stuff, Keith, I think that's actually pretty insightful. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Whether they do or not, we'll find out soon. But I think you're right about that, Keith.
And this is
All right.
part 2 of Keith's.
I
thing.
forgot there was a part 2. Okay.
Perhaps by even bringing those same songwriters back. This would be a cool touch since it would be a different retrofuturism universe and wouldn't necessarily have our same 60s pop songs. Thoughts?
Well, I already gave my thoughts. And again, I think you're onto something there, Keith. I really do.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
Aaron Barrage, sorry if I butchered that, says, trivia. Late legend Kobe Bryant is the only one who has won an Olympic gold and an Oscar. Who won the gold in 2008 and 2012 and Oscar for the animated short Dear Basketball, which he wrote and narrated?
Yeah, so Kobe Bryant wrote, after he was retiring, he wrote a poem, if you will, called Dear Basketball. It's really good. And then he got John Williams to write a score to it, and they made a short animated film of him, Kobe, narrating it with John Williams music playing it. I actually got to be, it was really, really great, because Anne is a huge Kobe Bryant fan. She's got several pictures with Kobe. I got to be at the Hollywood Bowl at a John Williams concert when John Williams surprised everybody and invited Kobe Bryant on stage, and Kobe came out and Kobe recited Dear Basketball while John Williams conducted the orchestra. Yeah, it's a really, really cool thing. You should go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. All right, what's next?
All right. Hun Squat says, instead of a face-off or body swap situation explaining RDJ as Doom, the MCU could retcon the 616 Tony as being adopted as a baby from Latveria. This would allow the future RDJ Doom to be the Doom we want. Thoughts? Would a retcon like this be accepted?
100% no. He is, because remember, it's not just that. In Endgame, I think it's in Endgame, when Tony meets his own father, and he's talking about just had a kid, it's not just adopted a kid. Look, there's different ways to do it. Like I said before on the show, that you can say that our Tony, 616 Tony, that his like great-great-grandfather, look, a lot of families that immigrated to America or Canada for that matter, would come over and would often change their family names, like would change their names to fit in more with the culture that they were in. My grandfather, Giovanni, started to go by John, which is why I'm called John. My real name is Giovanni after my grandfather, but I go by John, just like my grandfather went by John. So you go back several generations and say like Tony's great-grandparents, or maybe even great-great-grandparents, came over to America. And when they did, they changed their family name, Von Doom, to something very American sounding, Stark. And thus they became Starks. Now, what happens if in another universe, if in like universe 527, Tony Stark's great-grandparents never did leave Latveria to come to America, and they kept their family name of Von Doom. And Tony was born there and named Victor, and in all of his brilliance and studies, and then sought out the magical arts and all, and he becomes ultimately Doom. So yeah, you can do that, but I don't think you have to retcon anything. That's the thing. There's ways to do this, 1,000 ways to do this. Some that are way better than the thing I'm suggesting, that don't need retconning anything about the 616 we have. The moment you start retconning 616, that's when they're going to get into problems. But I don't think there's any need for them to do that. Too many other outs for it. All right. What's next?
All right. Anonymous says, I envy people who can set their opinions on a movie straight away. I'm not like that. I always have to wait a few days or weeks or sometimes give another viewing before my thoughts settle and I give my final thoughts.
Well, I mean, there's a difference, though, between like final thoughts. But like when you get on a ride at an amusement park, whether it's some kind of roller coaster or whatever other kind of ride you can take, you have an experience, and the moment you stepped off, you know what you thought of that experience. Now, maybe you need to give some more, like some finer thoughts to come to some of the finer details of your overall experience, but you know immediately, I enjoyed that ride, or that was the most terrifying thing I've ever been on, or that one was kind of boring. Like, you know immediately, and I believe the same thing is true of movies. Movies are an experiential event. You go in, you experience it, and you know right away whether you liked it or not. Yeah. That doesn't mean you have to have all your fine detail feelings of it worked out. Maybe that does take some time, but I would and just like being in a restaurant, you put a fork full of food in your mouth, you know pretty quick whether you like it or not. Maybe you got to give it a few chews and whatever, but essentially pretty quickly you know if you like it or not. So yes, I think you and everybody knows right away if you liked it or not. You know your general thoughts on it, and maybe then it takes a little more thought and appreciation to kind of work out the details. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, with the Canadian women winning the Olympic silver medal and being one of the top teams in the world, could you see yourself watching the Women's Rugby World Cup when it's next on? Also, Google the Women's New Zealand All Blacks haka. It is brilliant.
First of all, men or women's, the New Zealand haka is one of the coolest thing in sports. Yeah. And then we're not talking about the Haktua girl. We're talking about the All Blacks. Yeah. The haka. It's one of the most terrifying, intimidating things ever. I love it. Honestly, I'm not a rugby fan myself. I don't disparage rugby at all. It looks like a wickedly brutal sport. I think that's awesome. I don't understand it in the least. I have no idea what's going on. So no, I'm probably not going to follow it myself, but I am super proud of the Canadian women. All right, what's next?
Hybrid Explorer says, I am intrigued with the movie The Return, about which is about Odysseus. Odysseus, there we go. Coming home from his voyage, starring Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche, is one of my favorite Greek tragedies.
By the way, it's pronounced Rafe Fiennes. Just for everybody out there, I know it's spelled Ralph Fiennes, but it's pronounced Rafe, R-A-F-E. I don't know why it's spelt that way, but it's pronounced Rafe Fiennes. I have not heard of this movie.
Yeah, me either.
But Odysseus, starring Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche, sign me up. That sounds great to me. I'm going to have to go and see if I can find the trailer for it because I haven't seen it yet myself. Thanks for putting that on my radar, Hybrid. Appreciate that, man. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, I found the marketing for the new Twisters movie to be really confusing and even misleading.
Really?
I kept waiting for a right hand green or a left foot blue,
oh my God,
but they never actually showed the game. Just a bunch of rain for some reason.
Just a bunch of rain. Now a Twisters movie. Come on.
I mean, it was kind of good. I mean,
when we were all in high school, the game everybody wanted to play was Twisters because everybody needed an excuse to touch the guy or girl they wanted to touch. But I could see, yes.
I just wanted to win.
I just wanted to win too.
I hated knowing that I wasn't flexible, and
I just wanted
I should
to
stop
win.
eating that much, and maybe that would change. So I was always the first out in Twister. Yeah.
Now, if they wanted to do this movie right, they would have been playing Twister as a Twister was coming through. That would have been the movie I'd sign up to see.
The next horror film is going to be based on Twister. Watch.
Next horror film.
Someone write a movie. If you could get a horror film out of that game, I would watch it.
But my right hand is already on blue. Then you need to cut your hand in half. Yeah, there you go. There's your pitch for your horror Twisters movie. All right, what's next?
Well, Anonymous has no comment, but just wanted to support.
Oh my. $35 tip just to be supportive.
Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous, for supporting us on that level, man. That's incredibly generous of you.
Awesome.
All right, what's next?
All right. Dennis the Phantom Menace has, that's cool. I've been a fan since way back in 2012 during AMC days.
Thank you, man.
You are so charismatic in providing movie info news. You also help me during my times when I'm depressed. I want to say thank you. Keep up the great job. It'll be sad when you retire.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much for being around and being a part of our little online journey here for so long. I really appreciate that. And listen, always say it, will always say it. The great thing about movies and the fans and the communities that watch them is that they offer us fantastic reprieves from the things going on in our lives and our world. And it's not that my problems aren't still waiting there for me when I come out of watching a movie or coming out of a great conversation about movies. The problems are still there. It's just I'm in a little bit of a different place to deal with them. You know, my mind's refreshed. I feel renewed. I have a little bit of a different perspective. I'm happier. I'm whatever it is. And that is one of the reasons why I don't just think movies are a great way to pass the time. I think movies are important. I think storytelling is important. I think they're such vital parts of who we are as people. And that's why I love the art and why I love what I do and why I love that you're a part of that community, Dennis. So thank you for sharing that, man. I really appreciate it. All right, what's next?
All right. Mark Goman said, since the news was received with mixed reactions, I believe it would be a smart idea for Marvel Studios to set up RDJ as Doctor Doom prior to Avengers Doomsday. Do you think they will precede that movie with a surprise Stark turned Doom origin movie?
100%. I think you're wrong, Mark. Now, that doesn't mean you are wrong. I'm just saying I completely disagree. First of all, the mixed reactions is only from 5% of the audience. You got to understand this. The average moviegoer does not care that, well, wait a minute, in the comics, Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark is not Dr. 95% of the movie-going audience could not tell you that Dr. Doom's name is actually Victor Von Doom. They don't care. It's only the 5% of the audience that, are in circles like this one and things like that even know about it or care. So when you say mixed, in that 5%, it's mixed. So like 2.5% to 3% don't like it, 2.5% to 2% do like it, whatever. But the other 95% of the audience are generally thrilled about it because they just know that that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. So I just want to be clear about that. The second thing is, even if there was mixed reaction, I think that makes it more important that you don't diddle around with giving him a 2-minute thing in this and, give him a little introduction in this. Nah. What you do is you come out swinging in Doomsday. You come out swinging. And listen, I'm guaranteeing you this right now. For all those people out there who are criticizing this, and again, I'm not saying you got to like it. That's one thing. Not liking it and saying, well, like I have all the respect in the world for people going like, hey, that's not what I would do. I don't know if I like this, but it's got potential, so I'm going to give it a shot, right? All the respect in the world for people who have that attitude. I'm just saying that when Doomsday comes out, there's going to be a lot of people rewriting their own history. And there's going to be a lot of people when Doomsday comes out, they're going to be writing I knew the whole time that Robert Downey Jr. coming back was a great idea to play this. I knew the whole time, just like they did with Robert Pattinson, just like they did with Heath Ledger. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. Maybe. Hopefully the movie doesn't suck. So, but I would say it would only make it even more vital that instead of dicking around and having a little thing, no, you don't introduce him in something else. You come out swinging with This Is Doom, right? You have him come on screen. Now, granted, Thanos was introduced in some other stuff, but he never did anything in anything else. For all intents and purposes, Thanos really introduces his presence in Infinity War when he took out almost all of Asgard, killed Heimdall, killed Loki, beat the crap out of Thor, and then proceeded to beat the snot out of Hulk. You have something, not exactly like that, but something likened unto that. You come out powerful, you come out strong, and you drop the gauntlet, no pun intended, right away. Now, that being said, I do think there's a chance that we meet him in Fantastic Four, maybe in a post-credit scene. But if it were me, and it's not up to me, thankfully, I would be, no, don't dick around. Just come right out swinging in Doomsday. That's the way I would do it anyway, Mark. But we'll see, because you might be right. They might do it that exact way you're suggesting it. All right, what's next?
All right. Well, Johnny says, hi, John and crew. Greetings from Belgium.
Nice.
What is one of the coolest lines you've ever heard in a movie? For me, it's in Man on Fire, 2004, Denzel Washington saying, forgiveness is between them and God. I'm here to arrange the meeting.
I don't know off the top of my head. I would need to sit down for an evening and work out an idea about the coolest lines I've ever thought. One that jumps to mind, I'm not saying this is my top one, but one that tops to mind, there are three. I'm going to give three. Okay. Three. The original Predator movie. Former Governor Jesse the Body Ventura as his brother in arms looks at him and says, you're bleeding. And Jesse Ventura says, ain't got time to bleed. One of the coolest lines ever. Second, Nicolas Cage in the movie Face Off, where the stewardess comes up to him to offer him a drink or something like that. And he says, excuse me, if I asked you to, no, wait, let me rephrase that. If I let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful? That said only the way that Nicolas Cage can say it. The third one that comes to mind is Sean Connery in another Nicolas Cage movie, The Rock, to which Nicolas Cage said something to him about, I'll do my best. Sean Connery, in a line that only Sean Connery can get away with saying, says, your best. What does he say? Losers? Yeah, something like that. Your best. Losers always whine about their best, while winners go home and fuck the prom queen. From the mouth of Sean Connery, ladies and gentlemen. Those are three. Now, I'm not saying those are my top three. I'm just saying those are just the three that come to mind. Do either of you guys have some like big favorite
trying to think while you were
cool
talking.
lines? It's hard to top Sean Connery.
Yeah.
It's so tough. Someone said in the comments, though, it was Chris Tucker in Rush Hour, the wipe yourself off. You're dead. I thought that is a funny line.
Somebody Justin Villegas, I want to say, in the live chat is mentioning the movie They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper. Mm-hmm. That movie, I mean, first of all, that movie has a ton of lines that went into Duke Nukem. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of gum. I mean, there's just some great lines in that movie. Anyway, we must move forward now. What's next?
Anonymous says, absolutely love the finale of House of the Dragon. That sequence with Daemon was simply glorious. My only gripe was being told that Tywin needed to sleep with the pirates' wives only to cut that sequence from the episode. Not a big deal, but it's HBO, so bring on the filth.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. Because I mentioned in my kind of recap of what I thought of the finale, which I loved the finale. I didn't like that Daemon's daughter, who we spent like 3 or 4 episodes of her, I'm going to go walking in the woods looking for a dragon. Look, I'm still walking through the woods looking for a dragon. And the payoff was, oh, I just see a dragon. And that was it. That bothered me. The other one was that whole stuff at the, with the Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Because Lannister is a boob. And he acts like a boob in front of these people. And there's no way that Pirate Queen, who just beat the shit out of him in the mud, would say, yes, you're a manly man. You're the kind of man I want to sire my children. I'm like, really? What's going on?
I mean, he seems confused too. He's surprised by it too.
Yeah, so look, maybe she's playing him. I don't know. Like maybe the sea snake already made a deal with them and she's playing. I mean, that's probably not what's happening. I'm just saying. But that whole thing I didn't like either. That part was kind of a waste of time to me too. Again, overall, love the episode, but that was a bit of a waste of time for me too. All right, what's next?
Redone Real Talk says, have you seen the interview for Blake Lively's new movie that Ryan Reynolds, his mother, and Hugh Jackman collectively hijacked? Absolutely gold. And the timing after D&W, chef's kiss.
Have you guys seen this yet?
No.
Okay, first of all, it's one of these standard press junket interviews. Black background, poster of the movie, actor in one director's chair, the interviewer on the other. Ray had to sit in enough of these to know what I'm talking about. They're mind-numbingly painful. I hate them so much. I almost got PTSD watching this, and that's why I stopped doing them. But so this actor or this journalist finishes interviewing the guy who's the male star of Blake Lively's new movie, and he walks out. And of course, the next journalist comes in. Only you find out the next journalist coming in is Ryan Reynolds. He says, so, yeah, I see you do some like intimate scenes with my wife and all this kind of stuff, right? But then by the end of it, he's like hugging him and like just loves him. Then he walks out and then the next person comes in, but it's Ryan Reynolds' mother. She's like, so, you think you could take advantage of my daughter-in-law? But then she starts low-key hitting on the guy. She goes, you know, I'm a widow.
Oh my God.
Like starts hitting on the guy.
Yeah.
So funny.
And then she leaves, and the next journalist comes in, and it's Ryan, and it's Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, so, I understand you're getting pretty intimate with my best friend's wife. And anyway, if you guys haven't seen it, you should go check it out. It's pretty damn funny. It's really, really funny. You should go check it out. All right. What's next?
Well, this is the last one, and it's just anonymous showing some support.
Thank you, Anonymous. Appreciate that. Now, guys, listen, there are a few more questions that have come in since this last one in the recent part of the show. Whatever we didn't get to today, there's only just a couple of them, but whatever we didn't get to today, we will pick up with and start with on tomorrow's show. So, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me. Pole vaulter, Ray Ora.
Yeah, see you guys tomorrow.
Paris Rose.
Go France.
My name's John.
That's
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.